Welcome to The Knock, a podcast where we dive into real stories of real people who've experienced life before Christ and the transformation that comes when they answer the knock. Whether you're rooted in faith, feeling distant, or still unsure what you believe, our prayer is that these conversations stir something in you. Every story we share points back to the same truth. When you open the door, everything changes. Let's get into it. All right, so what's up, guys? Welcome back to The Knock podcast. Today, I'm excited. We have a good friend of ours, our business partner, Jimmy Vreeland. What's up, Jimmy?
Hey, what's up, fellas?
How you doing?
Good.
Jared, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Ready to get into it today.
Cool. So, Jimmy, if you want to just start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name's Jimmy Vreeland. Married to my beautiful wife, Susie. I have 4 children, ages 13 to 9. So if you're doing the math there, the 2010s, like, there's lots of babies, lots of diapers, really tight shot group. I'm a business owner, of course, with you guys. We are a one-stop shop for anybody who wants to invest in real estate. And I coach a lot of baseball right now. And then
Nice.
Army veteran, used to be an Army Ranger. Since we're talking about faith, I would say the Army story definitely has a lot to do with, I guess, what do we call it? Faith evolution.
Yeah, your testimony.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. So, on this podcast, the one thing that we're selling is Jesus. So we want to hear a little bit about your story, kind of maybe who you were. Let's start with, like, who you were before Christ. Like, did you grow up with the faith?
Yeah.
Did you stray away? Talk a little bit about that.
So I went to 12 years of Catholic school, went to Catholic grade school, went to Catholic, I went to SLU High. I think this is a little bit local podcast. Had a great experience there. I would say I left high school as a practicing Catholic. And then, like a lot of people do, they go to college, kind of moved away from the faith. And then, my junior year, 9/11 happened. So I knew, like, right after 9/11, like, hey, likelihood we're going to war. Got out of West Point in 2003. As you know, go to officer basic course, and I went to Ranger school. And then it was like, boom, first deployment. And so I have distinct memories of my way back to Jesus, way back to the church, and then I have a distinct memory on how I found myself on the way out.
Yeah.
And, like, we were partying a lot when I lived in Savannah. It was like right out of Ranger school, then all my best friends, we lived in Savannah together, which is one of the biggest party cities in the country.
Yeah.
So it was like go to work out, and we were going out like 2-3 nights a week.
Yeah, so do you think, like, some of that, like, knowing that you were, because 9/11 happened at West Point, like, I have to imagine that was a pretty intense time.
Yeah.
So
I was keeping my expectations low.
Yeah.
As far as coming home. So I was, eat, drink, and be merry.
Yeah. Yeah. So what were some of the things that you were? So is that the period of time where you kind of started to maybe stray a little bit?
Yeah, because my priorities were to have fun.
Right.
And there's drinking, carousing, all that type of stuff when people do when they're young.
Yeah.
But so then I get deployed, and we were at like this. I went to mass before. It was a base called Balad, where there was a bunch of combat arms and non-combat arms. So a bunch of girls, a bunch of boys, and a bunch of carousing.
Yeah.
And
I could imagine.
And so the priest, like, I'm getting ready to go get after it. And then the last, like, mass is he's talking about contraceptives. I was like, whatever, I'll figure this out on my own.
Right.
And so, and then, my first deployment, I went in like a young, optimistic lieutenant, like, we're gonna build a democracy here. We're gonna make some things happen. We're gonna do good for people. And I think like the 3rd or 4th time I got blown up, I was just like, screw it. Like, I'm just gonna get after these people.
Yeah.
And so, do we cuss on this podcast? What's the language restrictions?
Probably keep it family friendly.
Okay.
I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about, while you were deployed. So you're leading up deployment. West Point happens, or 9/11 happens when you're at West Point. You're on deployments. How did faith, if it did at all, like, play a part in your deployments?
like I was never an atheist. I was never an agnostic. I knew there was objective right and wrong. I knew there was a God.
Yeah.
But like church was like very soft to me.
Yeah.
And like there was looking back, I needed to harden up. I needed it to be like that to survive.
Right.
But so I never, and then, Jesus being the savior based off love, like that was a struggle.
Right.
Because like we were in special operations and we were doing very violent things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I would say my heart was filled with a lot of hate.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't regret what I was doing.
Now, do you think it was the perception of Jesus, like what society perceived Jesus as, or was it based off of like, I guess if you can kind of dive into that a little bit, like.
I would say it was a trinity of being young and stupid.
Okay, gotcha.
So sure, there was society, and then I'm 45. Like the new atheists were like coming of. So back in the early 2000s, I felt the pressure that like if you were a believer, you were stupid.
Right. Yeah.
Now I had enough Jesuit theology education that I could do the theological arguments. So I knew the new atheists were full of it. I couldn't exactly articulate it like I could now, but like I didn't like being viewed as stupid. So there was one.
Right.
There was my own hatred in my heart
Yeah.
for the things I saw. There was that. And then there was all just, you were 25 and dumb and stupid. So
I think that aligns with our story. I mean, obviously much different, but I mean, we both kind of fell away in our young 20s and
yeah.
made stupid decisions and thought we knew best and just let our pride and ego kind of run rampant.
Yeah. And then I think the same thing, like that perception that like church and love and that kind of, well, like we describe it as like a white picket fence feel of church.
Yeah.
I describe it as hippie Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hippie Jesus.
Yeah.
I would imagine that doesn't really, that's hard to conceptualize when you're fighting a war.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I felt the same way when I was like on the football team. Like all the kids that were going to FCA, they were a little soft. Like I thought they were I perceived them as soft.
Yeah.
And then I would see their performance on the football field, and a lot of them didn't have a lot of grit. And I don't think it was because of their faith, but those are all the things that were lining up for me where I was just like, it is.
If you're not young and you're not dumb,
Yeah.
you look closely, like there was plenty of guys who were faithful, who were great Rangers, great. They did their job that was violent, but didn't, I don't think it affects everyone differently, but didn't necessarily like let it darken their heart.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there any examples of that you saw maybe while did you have anybody that?
Now this will not be a family. I'm not going to curse, but if you got young kids, turn it off, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, like there was a massive like bombing in a market, like just like lots of people died, and then the Iraqis were just standing there like inshallah, like not doing anything, and the Americans were rushing in, and then after that night, like this, there's a smell where congealed blood.
Yeah.
Like I'll never forget that smell. But after that, I was just like, I went to a very dark place.
Yeah. Yeah. So I could only imagine that. So like what were the impacts on you and like your, we don't want to talk like, I know
the desire for revenge.
Desire for revenge. Yeah. Because I know, especially your generation, I think my generation started to phase out and we maybe went a direction like too far in the opposite way. But, like your generation, I would imagine like mental health, like emotions, like those things weren't.
Yeah, like I looked at the alumni thing for West Point and there was a wellness center. And I'm just, I go to my wife, I'm like, I thought the whole point was to come out of there unwell.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so going to that dark place, experiencing everything that you experienced, kind of like sounds like the same time that you maybe strayed away. Like, what was the impact on you? Like what did that do for you?
I just I had a outrageous temper.
Yeah.
I don't think I was that happy And people are always back. Would you ever go back? Or like if there was another war, would you go back? And like the answer is yes. But I wish I had my mind and my heart now and my 25-year-old body.
Yeah.
And ability to like do 20-mile road marches and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. So obviously, a pretty unique story. How many tours did you go on?
3.
3. Yeah. So going 3 tours, like being at West Point during 9/11. So talk about when you got back and then how you kind of transitioned and experienced like that knock.
Yeah. So it took a while. I'm glad we got an hour.
Yeah.
But came back. All I wanted to do was go out. And my brother was in his senior year of med school, so he didn't care about anything.
Yeah.
And so we were drinking, partying like 3 to 4 nights a week.
Yeah.
Luckily, and then I just want to make money.
Right.
Because I went straight into medical sales, and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting paid twice as much for like a quarter of the work.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
No desire to get married, no desire. I just needed like a calming down, a cooling off period.
Right.
Lots of fighting. So luckily, 6 months into coming home, I met Susie. And Susie was a little bit wild too, but 16 years of Catholic education. She went to a Catholic college too, but she was able to start I don't know, what do you call it? Taming the bull.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of, I think, the responsibility of a wife is to kind of tamper us down a little bit.
And then, so things went really fast. We got married under a year. She was able to things started feeling less dark.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So was she a little bit of a catalyst to that, or did she introduce faith back into it, or was it you guys had this common belief that you guys obviously had the Catholic background, education, you guys believed that there was a God, and then that transitioned into you answering the knock, or what did that look like?
Yeah, and we're still meeting Susie. We're still probably 5 or 6 years out from answering the knock.
Okay.
But what I'm most grateful for my parents making sure we always went to church, and the 12 years of education was it was hardwiring. It wasn't hard to go back to.
Right.
It wasn't foreign.
Yeah.
It was very easy. Same thing for her culturally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I would say, Sue, you've met her, she's pretty go with the flow.
Right.
So she never really fell away from the church, and then joy's has always been part of her. Eventually, and then a big change was the second she got pregnant with Maria, she was a partier too,
right?
But instantly a maternal instinct. She instantly cared about the kid more than anything else we were doing.
Yeah.
And then that was I fell in love with her all over again.
Yeah.
This was a cool, fun, best buddy.
Right.
It was also a smoke show. That was good setup. And then watching her become maternal, it was a whole new way of falling in love.
Yeah.
And I was if she's taking on responsibilities, I'm not going to be a POS.
Yeah.
You get better too.
Yeah.
Through that process, were you still going to mass
No.
periodically, or just never?
No.
Okay.
So and then very rarely pray.
Yeah. Was Susie going, or you guys are just
Not
both
really.
kind of, yeah?
If we were in Kansas City, she'd go. My parents were kind of in the church, kind of not.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would never be disrespectful to my grandparents or parents. If they asked me to go to mass, I would never not say no.
Yeah.
But it was not regular.
Gotcha.
And then we're building a family, we're selling, we're making some decent scratch. And, where I had ambitions to be in Rangers and Special Forces, I've always been very ambitious. Then the ambition turned to finances and building something. Mm-hmm. And then once again, I had the problem, wait a minute, how am I supposed to go to church and say, hey, I want to make a bunch of scratch?
Yeah.
And so that was another big obstacle.
Yeah.
So there was the obstacle, hey, how am I supposed to do very violent things to people that are my job? And then it's hey, how am I supposed to build my job and do this thing and then still try to be religious?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it definitely puts you in a place where there's internal conflict.
Yeah.
For sure. So let's get into like that moment. So you straight away, that moment where you kind of like re-engaged. What was there something specific that happened? Like, what did the knock look like for you?
So I'm going to fast forward real fast.
Okay.
So Maria 2010, Bubba, Maria December 2010, Bubba January of 2013. And then like the second kid, like it's on.
Right.
I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
The second kid, it's on. So like had to adopt more responsibility, had to tone down a lot of stuff. And then Tommy came like 16, 17 months later, and then Johnny another 13 months, and then this is where my wife's awesome. The whole time I'm buying real estate.
Yeah.
And then, because I wanted to start my own thing. And this is where my wife's also a little crazy. So Johnny's like in her arms. I got a doctor calling me because the guy I had substitute for me while I was watching my kid get born messed up in the surgery. And so the doctor's like screaming at me as I got the newborn baby in my arms. And my wife is like, you should just quit. I was like, huh? Like, you just had your fourth kid.
Right.
And she's like, you'll figure it out, whatever. So I think I waited like another 90 days.
Yeah.
And then I went full time into real estate. Like, not liquid enough, not prepared, like all these things.
Yeah.
Hindsight. And then a buddy of mine had given me a book called Chase the Lion. And it was the first time I could reconcile having big dreams and being religious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so the whole point, the tagline of the book is, if your dreams aren't don't scare you enough, they're not big enough.
Yeah.
Like, so it's writer Mark Batterson, but he's like, God gives you dreams, and then in order to knock you on your knees.
Right.
Yeah.
In order to be afraid, to need something.
Yeah.
And so, I had borrowed like $5 million, no team, no systems, no processes, and we're not doing well. And I got like 3 kids in the car, and I drive by our church.
Yeah.
Because at this point, once the kids started coming, Susie's like, no, we're going to start going to church. They're
Right.
going to grow up the way we grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, because I thought I was going to go bankrupt. I'm like, God, please help me. And he was like, no. He's like, you're going to figure this out. He's like, you're going to start by going back to church. You're going to start, like you work out every day, you're going to start by praying every day. You're going to start by reading every day.
Yeah.
And so after Chase the Lion, and then another buddy of mine gave me a book called The Monk and the Merchant.
Yeah.
That completely reconciled my mind on how you can want to build big things, have big dreams, and then and that interweaves with God's will for you.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was game on. I was like, and then Jordan Peterson coming in, and Jordan Peterson's criticizing, and then there was I guess a distinct moment was driving by the church that day, and I listened to a podcast with a guy named Bishop Robert Barron and Jordan Peterson, and Peterson's like, hey, Bishop, here's where the church has failed young men, is you guys make them feel bad for wanting to go on adventures and having adventures. And Bishop Barron's like, oh, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Here's what we should do. And then they talked about the hero's journey, and that Jesus is the ultimate version of the hero's journey.
Right.
And that you can link up the hero's journey with a faith journey.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm in 110%. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I no longer had the conflict.
Yeah. So it sounds like that experience kind of reconciled, because I know, for us Protestants, like we talk, we acknowledge, the enemy. We acknowledge like spiritual warfare. So it sounds like, at the time before you answered that knock, like you were going through a lot of things that were just kind of, the enemy was using as obstacles to prevent you, like, right? Like your time in war.
Yeah.
Doing violent things. Like, how can you do that and be a Christian?
Yeah.
How can you make a bunch of money?
Yeah.
But it sounds like that was like the reconciliation point for you.
Yeah.
So what was that? So you gave some pretty cool like descriptions of that conversation that God had with you.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like? Literally just happening in the car, and like, were you going through that just like in your mind, or how did that play out?
I mean, the kids were in the back, probably screaming and all that. I'm like, come on, come on, God, I have 4 kids now.
Right.
How about a little love here?
Yeah.
It's like, it was like, I'm going to be with you, but you're going to go through this.
Yeah.
And it, hero's journey. Should I go through the hero's journey?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in the last, if you look at all of Western culture, if you look at every hero myth, and Jesus is the ultimate hero's journey, but you got 6 distinct stages. You hear call to adventure. You then, I like to talk about it through Lord of the Rings. So,
Okay.
The beginning, like Bilbo, here's the call to adventure. Then you cross the threshold, you leave the Shire. And in the movies, the second they leave the Shire, you got the 4 black horse guys chasing them down. All it is roads of trials. Like,
Yeah.
you hear a big adventure, like, let's go to West Point, and you're like, oh, it's going to be super cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, no.
No.
The second you start your football season at Colorado, I'm sure it's just roads of trials.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then finally, there's a bottoming out. There's an abyss where you either quit and go home, or you change, and that allows you to get through the abyss.
Yeah.
And then after you get through the abyss, you metamorphosize. After the metamorphosis, you've learned something, you bring that back to the tribe, and the boon.
Yeah.
So, the abyss for Jesus was the crucifixion.
Right.
Yeah.
The 3 years before that was roads of trials, the 40 days in the desert.
Yep.
And then in the Gospels, they don't necessarily go into his call. But
Right.
then, when he turned water into wine, that was him crossing the threshold.
Yeah.
Him and Mary even have a discussion, like, hey, maybe it's not my time right now.
Yeah. We ready for this? Yeah.
And then, so he crosses threshold, roads of trials, abyss, metamorphosis, rising from the dead, and then coming back and giving all of us all this is the boon.
Yeah.
So, just to kind of go back to what you had brought up, you brought up a really good point about discipline. It sounded like what helped you get back into your faith, a big part of that was discipline. And just being around you a lot, I mean, you're a pretty disciplined guy. Like, what did that look like to start? Like, what was the first thing you started doing, and how did you, progress to where you're at now?
Reading 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes a day?
Yeah. I'd wake up, boom, 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Something religious.
Okay. Which is pretty practical for, anybody listening. I mean, it just starts, you said you were doing that first thing in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what did that progress to? Like, after 15 minutes, what was your next progression?
So then it was showing up at church, and when you got 4 kids, there's always an excuse.
Yeah.
So, the first week you go to church, it's like you're 30 minutes late because you started planning.
Yeah.
15. I mean, you guys got young kids. You
Oh,
start,
yeah.
It's 20 minutes before mass. Oh, let's start trying. But eventually, when they were real young, it was 9 o'clock mass, 8 o'clock we start getting going. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's still 8:25. I got to hit the showers at 8:25. I mean, we are walking in right at 9 p.m. So then, getting that routine set up.
Yeah.
And then, we did Exodus together, which is the super disciplined spiritual exercise.
Yeah.
It's just organizing your day around it.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's sleeping less.
Yeah. A lot of less sleeping.
Yeah. So match this up with how you were handling the business, because I know, Susie was involved in the business. It sounds like that's a little bit after kind of this phase that we're talking about.
Yeah.
What was the difference? So that whole period of time, it was a trial. It was a different trial. You weren't at war. You weren't, in kind of that beginner phase right after you left Stryker.
Yeah.
What was the difference in being able to lean on Jesus, on God, in that time period of your life versus what you experienced before?
Oh, I started running into abysses instead of running away.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing about combat was thinking about combat.
Right.
Once you were in it, your training took over and you just did what you were going to do.
Right.
But once I recognized, what's that Jelly Roll song right now? The Brandon Lake and Jelly Roll song.
Oh, hard fought hallelujah.
Yeah. My favorite line is, faith is like gold in that it's tested by fire.
Right.
So I just started doing this weird mind trick to myself. Oh man, this is another abyss. Instead of hemming and hawing, do I want to do this? It's no, this is an opportunity to get refined.
Yeah.
And so I started making games in my brain with it and having fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think something that you said was super important. That moment that you experienced the knock, and you're sitting there and you're basically you're almost asking God to take away all your problems, and he's like, no, son,
bro.
yeah, like you got to go through it, and I think that's a big, and we've talked about it before, but that's a big misconception.
That's the problem with hippie Jesus. It's a bait and switch tactic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That you're going to have all this love and peace and a light burden. You are,
yeah,
but you're also going to get refined.
yeah.
And you're going to be able to handle bigger problems.
That's a good point, because life doesn't get easier when you become a Christian or when you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Like, you just learn to deal with problems better. That's really all it is. It's like you get stronger, and so the problems don't mess with you as much.
Right.
Yeah, and when you're facing those trials and those tribulations and those hard things, you have your feet standing on the firmest foundation you could possibly have, right?
Yeah.
Because self-reliance, it's pretty much an industry, right? Like self-help and all of this stuff. Like I don't know the statistics, but I would imagine it's a pretty substantial industry.
Yeah.
But that foundation that you're standing on, it's sand. It erodes when you rely on self.
And then I enjoy paradoxes about being Christian.
Yeah.
So like, the first is going to be last and the last is going to be first. And then if you think you're winning, maybe you're losing, and then losing's now winning.
Right.
I kind of enjoy it. But like, you don't have to be that concerned about the earthly results as long as you live the spiritual essence. You're always playing two games.
Yeah.
I was just reading John chapter 12 last night for one of our men's groups, and it's like, if you love your life in the worldly sense, you'll die spiritually, but if you die to self, you'll grow spiritually. It's like,
that's another kind of paradox there.
Paradox
right?
in itself, and that's you start living your life like that, you start to reap the rewards of like the fruits of the Spirit. Like, you start having that peace and joy through the fire. Because I mean, I'm sure as the business grows for us, like, we're gonna continue to hit trial after trial after trial, but we have that strong foundation of Christ in the center of everything.
Can I tell okay, so then I read Monk and the Merchant, Bishop Aaron Jordan Peterson got me going, but there was still like vestiges of the enemy on me.
Right.
And so I started going to spiritual counseling with my priest. And it was preemptive to do it. It was like in 2020 when you could like fog a window and make money in real estate.
Yeah.
And then what's the letter about putting on the armor of Christ? And
it's Ephesians 5,
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
What it's like, put on the breastplate of Christ or the helmet
Yep.
of faith. Or,
Yeah.
See,
The
there
belt
you go.
of belt
Catholic
of truth.
Getting better.
Scripture.
Yeah.
There you go.
But so it was like preemptive. I was like, things are getting really hot, and I don't want it to be thinking it's me. So I was like, hey, Father Craig, like, things are great right now, but I want to put something in reserve here. So like, I want to start getting better.
Right.
And like, I needed it because like. So for those who aren't in real estate, 2020, COVID happened. The government started printing money, lowered interest rates. Like, it was so easy to make money.
Right. Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And the market was the star, but a lot of people were thinking they were the star.
Yeah.
And so 2023, like, interest rates went up like 5 times, and I was like, oh my God, I'm done. And so like, I go to counseling that week, and I'm like, Father Craig, I'm done. I'm going bankrupt this time. Like, and he's like, look, I don't think God would have taken you this far in order just to leave you right now.
Right.
And he's like, here's the 3 things you got to focus on. This is the winning or losing playing 2 games at once. He's like, you got to make sure you have a Christian workspace, so fair scales, be honest. He's like, you provide a livelihood to you and your team, places for people to go through their own abysses and get better.
Yeah.
And then 3, be generous. He's like, if you do those 3 things at the end of every day, he's like, just focus on those.
Yeah.
And then that's what I did, and we kind of thrived during that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was, so you said that was 2023?
Yeah.
So I was 2 years in working with you because I started January of 21. And I mean, I've seen the transition into a Christian workplace.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
yeah, for
And
sure.
I mean, it's powerful. And we constantly need those reminders because, even kind of post interest rate hike, like we've had some successes. I mean, we're having what seems to be a pretty good year.
Yeah.
But it is important to constantly have that reminder that, hey, and that's kind of why we've done some of the things that we've done. So, for people listening, like every Wednesday we go do a team workout. We have fellowship. We were praying before our leadership meetings before. And it's cool to hear that was preemptive on your part. Like you kind of recognized that and you saw it and it was like, all right, cool. Like this is what we need to set up.
I mean, being a Gen Xer, like you guys brought praying into the business end. Like that, you gotta understand, in the early 2000s, that was like a big no-no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I love it that we do it, but I mean, I'm grateful for you guys for generating it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. I mean, I still think in most areas and most companies it's probably frowned upon, but it has been extremely cool to see, how things have progressed. I mean, I've only been with you guys for close to 2 years now.
Yeah.
That was like end of 2023. Just to see how things have progressed and we never shove anything down anybody's throat. It's like, it's optional if you want to be a part of these conversations or you want to know more about Christ, or if you just, want to hang out. Like we're open to all of it, but just to see how it's progressed and how we have truly put God in the center of our business. And it's like, I think things are flourishing within like relationships and the relationships that we build, but it's also like as our partnership as well as continue to grow, because we are standing on that firm foundation and not, letting the worldly nonsense like infiltrate our business.
Yeah, I will say my favorite times are on the boat with a tequila soda talking about Jesus.
Yeah.
Like I'd say those are some of the most fun conversations.
For sure.
There's times when we've been out there till 11, almost midnight, just docked talking for 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
So,
our wives yell at us when we get home. But.
Yeah, our wives might not necessarily enjoy it, but we have a good time. And it's good fellowship. So now that so what was the year that you would say that you answered the knock?
That's a good question. So it was definitely before COVID. Probably 19.
19?
Yeah.
So obviously, like we're all this is a continual process, like the process of sanctification.
Yeah.
But where you're at today versus that starting point of when you answered the knock, like what's changed for you?
I just say better husband, better father, hopefully better business owner.
Yeah.
I'm having more fun. I feel more challenged, and it's a lighter yoke. But there's more purpose, there's more meaning.
Yeah.
That's the rub.
Yeah.
Like that's where a lot of vets struggle, is they don't have any meaning after they leave the military. I've never had that problem.
Right. And that's because God's kind of filled that void for you.
Yeah, I mean, and then I think podcasts like this are great. Like I'm a little bit grateful in our culture for the meaning crisis.
Yeah.
Because in my experience, since answering the knock, evangelization has been super easy.
Yeah.
I think people are begging for it. They're craving it.
Yeah.
It's because, like, where can you find purpose and meaning?
Right.
It's like, well, you're not going to get in politics. Money will last for a little bit, but then, at least for me, once I started making, doing well, I was like, it's not satisfying that I need more purpose, more meaning. And then it's like with your kids, it's like I want them. The meaning crisis does scare me for my kids.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing. Like I heard the knock.
Yeah.
And I would say the meaning crisis was the boot. Like I am not gonna allow my children not to know that there's not a beautiful world of purpose and meaning.
Right. Yeah. I mean that's extremely important. I mean, last episode I talked a little bit about my testimony and it was all surrounding the kids. I don't know if the kids weren't in the picture, I would have probably made some really, really bad choices. So yeah, and there's something positive about that in wanting to set your kids up with that relationship with Christ early. Mm-hmm. Not to say that they won't stray. I mean, I know the temperament of my boys, like they're probably going to be similar to me.
But it's in the Old Testament, like you have to.
Yeah.
Like it's like the 11th commandment.
Yeah.
Like you have to teach them I think it's in Deuteronomy.
Uh-huh.
But you have to teach them the ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to at least install the hardware.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and you know, if they're like the prodigal son and they like we all have stray and then come back, you know, God's gonna invite them with open arms, and you know, there's gonna be a celebration in heaven. So we kind of went through your knock, you know, the transition outside of that. So if you were sitting across from somebody, or maybe somebody's listening and you know they relate to your story. I can imagine a lot of vets that went to war, like they might even still be harboring that frustration and that anger.
Can I tell a good story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So and then another, you know, like faith is like that. It's like an onion. Keep pulling it open.
Yeah.
But one Christmas, Susie got me the C.S. Lewis box set.
Yeah.
And it's in Mere Christianity. C.S. Lewis says, like, you're like a cottage. And when you first, maybe you experience this, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But when you first hear the knock, you're like, all right, okay, Jesus, you can have the living room.
Yeah.
Help me clean this up. But the basement, that's mine. The attic, that's mine. These other rooms, that's mine. You're not coming in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like I distinctly, I was like, all right, cool, I'll go back to church. But like, we are not gonna talk about the war. And we are not gonna go to confession. Like, you know, in every Catholic church there's a confessional. And I was just like,
Right.
and I'm like talking like I was going to church consistently for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And so there was like, I went to confession for like the first time after like 15 years and just like started bawling.
Yeah.
And like let it all go.
Right.
And that was like one of the most freeing experiences of my life.
Yeah.
Like I probably blew Father Craig's hair back a little bit.
Yeah.
But one of the best experiences of my life. And that like opened everything up.
Yeah.
That always brings me back to a saying that I heard from Pastor Nick, our pastor. He's actually going to be on the show in a couple weeks. But I was at this thing called Celebrate Recovery, which is a really good program for people that struggle with addiction problems, but also just emotional hangups.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was there. I just had a lot of things that I was harboring. And he said that when you hold things in and you don't talk about it, you don't confess to your brother, you don't confess to your priest, whatever way you go about it, that things grow inside internally like a fungus.
Yep.
And how does a fungus die? Light. So when you bring things to light, that's when it dies.
Yep.
And so, I mean, that was very similar. I had a really hard time when I got done with football. Obviously, totally different situation, but I had a lot of resentment. I just was harboring a lot of things, and I wasn't in a place in life where I wanted to be. So when that happened, I just harbored all my emotions. I didn't talk to anybody. And finally, when I got that knock, and it took years. It honestly took me 2-3 years, but when I finally similar situation, I was in a group with I was at a discipleship class, like an 8-week program at my old church. And when I finally was in a group of 5 different guys, all different ages, started talking about the things that I was going through, and then they started talking about things that they were going through. Because what the enemy tries to do is he tries to isolate you and make you feel like you're the only person going through a specific thing.
Oh, and be ashamed of it too.
Yeah,
while you're at it.
yeah.
So
I'm going to condemn
it.
you, and I'm going to isolate you. And I let the enemy win for so many years. But when I found Christ again, I no longer, like, when I started hearing other guys going through the same stuff as me, like it was just like it was just layers of hurt and resentment, and all these things just fell off me slowly but surely. So that brings up a really good point. Like, don't isolate yourself, and talk. Confess the things that confess your sins, and then also confess the things that have been hurting you.
Well, and then to tie a knot on the C.S. Lewis analogy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're a little, what did he call it? Like, you know, you're a little 1,000 square foot little house, right?
Yeah.
And like you're precious. Like, these are mine. You're not getting in this, Jesus.
Yeah.
But like C.S. Lewis is like, he's trying to make you into a temple. So he is going to be like that annoying aunt who just comes in and starts cleaning things up. And then I brought up the confession story just because like it was ridiculous to think that I could keep that basement.
Yeah.
It's like he's coming in to build the temple. So he's got to get the basement too if he's going to build the foundation.
He starts coming in the house and kicking in doors.
But I mean, I remember audibly laughing when I read that in Mere Christianity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've gone through similar things. I had a realization, and I like we have a lot of sports analogies and metaphors. We talk sports a lot, and I was talking to somebody, and you know, it was at the time where I was going to church, but I was kind of lukewarm, like I wasn't really doing a whole lot, and he was like, dude, he's like, you played football in college. He's like, what would happen if you went on the field not knowing your playbook? And I was like, well, I'd probably get benched pretty quickly, regardless of how athletic I was. I wouldn't be hitting my assignments, right? I'd be messing up everybody else on the team. And he's like, well, what's the difference? He's like, God has this book for us called the Bible, and it's your playbook. It's how. So you know, the Bible does say, hey, we should confess our sins to our brothers in Christ, right?
Yeah.
And it talks about the benefits of that. So that was a cool little realization. It's like, oh, if I just, you know, my simple mind at the time was like, if I just think about it like football, here's a playbook. Let me make sure I know what's in it so that I can, you know, go through life.
I think that's some real spiritual wisdom.
Yeah.
As you relate it to what you know.
Right.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, and you know, we all work with. I would almost say at this point, she's kind of like our spiritual counselor, Ann Ryan.
Yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned earlier that is a little bit of a tie-in. It was like when God was talking to you in that moment, he was like, hey, you work out every day. Like why can't you pray every day? Why can't you read every day? And Ann's actually helped me with some of those things, because like consistency is always something that, you know, especially when it comes to spiritual, you know, practices, consistency is for me the most challenging thing.
Right.
So she was like, hey, like you always go to the gym, right? She's like, how many times do you miss the gym? I was like, hardly ever. She's like, well, show up at the gym to the parking lot 15 minutes, 20 minutes before you want to go work out. And she's like, bring your book, you know, get into it there. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like you relating the disciplines and.
Yeah. I mean, my first 30 minutes of the gym, I'm on the Hollow app.
Yeah.
And like I'm going through Bible in a year right now. So it's usually a 20-minute podcast every day. So
Yeah.
if you go to do 15 minutes a day of the Bible, you'll get through it in a year.
Yeah. Yeah. So as we're kind of wrapping this up a little bit, if you were sitting across maybe even a version of your younger self or somebody that's struggling, maybe they know Jesus and they're just not fully bought in, or maybe they don't know Jesus at all, like what would be your advice to that person?
Or like advice or
I mean, what would you say to that person? It doesn't have to be like what would you say to that person?
I would just do like the 7 whys question. Like, where do you know, to sum up, where do you find purpose and meaning?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I do for our church, I do men's groups, and people will ask me about it, and I'm just like, I mean, I'll go very direct. Like, you're a dad. I always ask this question. You know, you're a dad, right? Cool. And then, so imagine you're in your deathbed. You know, everybody wants their kids to see them as a hero.
Right.
Like, it's a big deal, especially for me.
Right.
Like, I want them to think I can, you know, jump tall buildings and do whatever they need.
Yeah.
But, like, imagine you're on your deathbed and your kid was like, man, my dad, he was just a great example of mediocrity. Everything he did was just half-assed.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and so I have found with dads, like, that's how you, so, okay, cool. How can you live as a hero for your kid? You know, then you go into the 5 F's.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to be pushing the envelope in faith, family, fitness, friends, and finances. That's to me the most direct way to be a hero. And then where are you going to find purpose and meaning?
Yeah.
I've looked. I don't see it a lot of other great places for purpose and meaning.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to be a hero if there's no meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's really hard to suffer if there's no meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like, you know, sit down, have some self-reflection, and challenge yourself. Like, do you have purpose
That's the
and
greatest
meaning?
thing to me about church and Jesus. It's the ultimate hero's journey. It's the ultimate challenge.
Yeah.
Peterson calls it adopting self-sacrificial responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's that's the hardest thing to do. Die to yourself daily.
Yeah.
Minute by minute, dying to yourself, dying to your flesh, and living in a way that's in accordance with God's will for you. Like
as much as the hippies try to hide it, our entire culture is based off self-sacrificial responsibility.
Yeah.
Bobby loves his favorite saying is live your own truth.
No, I never say that. They're just
No,
to be clear, there's one truth, and his name is Jesus.
Yeah, but it's like,
Go ahead.
but no, it's like, yeah, this society is like, live your truth. It's like, no, that doesn't bring purpose. It doesn't bring meaning to live your truth. Like there is a truth, and it's tried and true for thousands of years. It's like, I would say anybody listening, just investigate a little bit before you decide to just be like, I'm about to live my truth. Like,
But who wants that responsibility put on them?
I mean, man,
I don't want to create my own values. I'm not smart enough.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I don't want to decide what truth is. Like in the Army, I like the standard operating procedure. Here's how you do this. Here's how you win. Oh, cool. That's all I have to do?
Yeah.
Like there's 10 commandments. That's all I have to do. Everything else, I get to go do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to come up with that.
Right.
Yeah. When you learn submission, it's just like, man, like this is kind of like, it's not easy, but this is way easier than it was before. Yeah, it's simple.
Yeah.
Like, Christ, let your will be done in this situation, and I'll go with it. Like that's, I mean, it is hard. It's easier said than done, but once you kind of get into that mind frame and you're okay with whatever Christ decides, I mean, man, I've felt like 2 tons lifted off my shoulders when I adopted that concept.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it in some of our conversations. A lot of the hard stuff that we experienced in life was pre-answering the knock. And it's like the hard stuff that I've experienced in life since answering the knock. Like it's weird. It's almost hard to describe, but there is like a sense of peace to it. It's like, God, regardless of what your will is, I know you got my back. Like whether it's good, bad, indifferent, like I know you're there and I can lean on you. And man, like you got the creator of the universe in your corner. Like there's not a whole lot more you can ask for.
I think the last one, I don't know if it was the last one or the one before, but you said a good analogy you used was like white knuckling the steering wheel. It's like once you stop like white knuckling that dang steering wheel and you just kind of, Jesus, take the wheel. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, my problem, the analogy I gave was, imagine like those old driver's training cars where you're driving, but the passenger, the instructor, has the ability. Yeah. Like, I'm letting Jesus sit in the passenger seat, and I'm like, hey, Jesus, go ahead and drive, but if you take this turn, like I'm gonna force it over here. So, it is a lot easier to surrender. Well, Jimmy, great conversation, man. I mean, those experiences and what you've been through, and kind of like your starting point to having the relationship that you have now. The business owner. I mean, we see it, man. Like, just the transformation over the last couple years, like, has been awesome to see. We know that Christ has a hand on our business, on us as individuals. So really appreciate you coming on and sharing your testimony.
I mean, you guys have been a big part of that. So, I love doing business with you guys. I love doing fellowship with you guys. So thank you guys for that. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Real quick, Jimmy, if somebody wants to get in contact with you, maybe, somebody's compelled by your story, wants to get into real estate, whatever it is, where can they find you?
Just go to Instagram, Jimmy Vreeland. V as in Victor, Reeland.
Awesome. All right. Well, this was another episode of the Knock Podcast. We appreciate you guys listening.
Thanks for tuning into The Knock. If this story moved you or made you think, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs hope. Follow us on social media at The Knock Podcast for more content. And remember, God is always knocking. The question is, will you answer?